Greetings, my fellow bastions, my fellow conspiratoriums. Tip and a nod to Lionel Nation. I want to speak to you tonight about a subject that's been bugging me for the last week or two now, since it's become apparent to me. I want to read to you from an article from the journal.ie, dated January the 2nd, 2017. And it's regards female genital mutilation. I read in the Irish Times 2 weeks ago that the number of babies, children, underage adults, non-adults that are presenting with FGM symptoms, FGM diagnosis or outcomes of having a clitorectomy, a labialectomy, whatever the hell you want to call it, has risen to 6,000. 6,000 children, underage minors, have had FGM performed on them, primarily from their parents. And I'm reading an article here on the laptop from the journal dated the 2nd of January 2017, as I said before. Despite female genital mutilation, FGM, being outlawed in Ireland in 2012, almost 4,000 girls have become victims of it. There have been no convictions under the legislation. The Officer of Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, has told the journal.ie, no one, even though 6,000 cases to date, 4,000 on reporting of this article in January the 2nd, 2017, 4,000 then, it's now 6,000. 6,000 children have presented with symptoms of FGM. That means they have travelled abroad, overseas, and have had these ectomies, these barbarous rituals performed on them, and then flown back here to Ireland, where we have, as has been lauded time and time again, the most high-tech FGM clinic in Europe. And it grates me that we laud this as look at us, we have the best clinic in the world to deal with this situation. These children should be monitored, they should be recognised, and they should not be allowed to travel outside of the country if they are at risk of FGM. If their parents are from a culture that they are going to do everything and anything to try and bring their children abroad, have this FGM conducted and carried out by witch doctors, at the very least, at the very most, witch doctors. These children are going to come back here in all sorts of excruciating and dire, life complicating symptoms, and then we've got the high-tech fucking clinic that's going to sort them out, and they'll crack on with a new life, never knowing orgasm, never knowing the pleasure of procreation. You know, they're just baby making machines. They, you know, according to their culture, their deity prescribes that as modest women they should not allow to feel the dirt of pleasure, because then they would lose their modesty. So in essence, they're just baby making machines. And I, for one, can't understand, as a society, as an Irish society, can't say, we have the Children's Rights Act, why aren't we protecting the children? Why aren't we preemptively going out and identifying these children from these cultures? We would presume to know that the majority of these instances would have a high correlation of coming from a certain criteria or a certain culture. So when these people come over and they identify and they register as coming from these certain cultures and certain ideologies, why aren't our social services going, right, we need to target these people, we need to target these children, not target them, we need to identify these children, monitor them and keep an eye on them. And if the family present that they want to go away back to the home countries, as has been prescribed in the 2017 article from the Irish Times, saying that the majority, if not in fact 99% of all of these cases that are presented, happened, as they said, in their home counties. This is your home. If these children are living and presiding and going to the school, going to our schools and living in our culture, they are under the protection of our republic. And if we can predetermine these children are at a risk of FGM if they travel abroad, we should stop it. We should have some sort of punishments. Why? There should be some sort of punishments to stop. If the parents take the children away and one of the children comes back and it's presented with FGM, there should be some punishments for the parents. There should be some loss of citizenship. It should be the threat of deportation, because if there's not some sort of punishment in place, they're just going to keep going back and back and back. And if an example has to be made, then an example will be made of the parents. The child can stay here in the state. I'm trying my very best not to sound racial, but it's children. We have a Children's Rights Act in this country. We have professed to say that the rights of the children are sacrosanct, and we will do everything above and beyond our powers to try and protect the rights of the child. But here we have these children from another culture, and it's their culture, it's what they do, and they fly off back to another country and come back, and this, as I said to you before, this barbarous ritual has been performed on them. Where is the punishment? Are we going to allow this? Are we just going to facilitate? Is this going to be brushed under the carpet? It's a slippery slope. I'll read on to you from the same article. The Criminal Justice Female Genital Mutilation Act 2012 makes it a criminal offence for someone resident in Ireland to perform FGM. The maximum penalty under all sections of this new law is a fine or imprisonment for up to 14 years or both. It is also a criminal offence for someone to reside in Ireland to take a girl to another country to undergo FGM. Here's the Journal reporting this, that it's a criminal offence to take your child away, perform FGM and bring them back. Yet, in another article from the Irish Times, it says 6,000 children have presented with FGM. Where's the follow-up? Where's the prosecutions? Why aren't the parents being prosecuted? You know, we say we have one law for this and we don't. Which laws are we going to choose to abide by? We've given up. I have to stop. There might be a little bit of editing. In fact, I'm not going to edit this. I'm just going to broadcast it live. This is going up as of the 10th of December. And I'm still reading the same article. And I'm flabbergasted that not even prosecutions, nobody's been prosecuted for this in Ireland. Let's carry on with the same article. It says nearly 4,000 females in Ireland are estimated to have undergone FGM, a painful procedure which involves cutting, removing or damaging healthy female genital tissue from young girls. They're scalping, they're cutting the clitoris. Not even the hood, it's just pinched, and the clitoris is swiped off, and then the stem of blood is the stem of blood is stopped till it stops. Or in certain regions, it's the custom to cut the labia off the vagina. I mean, how fucking excruciating, without any sort of local anaesthetic or any sort of medical procedure. These things are just done ad hoc. I want to carry on reading. It is a tradition practiced widely in many African and Muslim countries, and often justified as a means of suppressing a woman's sexual desire. You're taking away an adult's right when they are in a child, and they don't have the right to consent to having this procedure done. It's just the parents take this upon themselves to mutilate their child. And you could say, and I get the comparison, Jews, the Jewish faith does the same with the male circumcision, and I would say to you, and I would add to that practice has to be stopped. There's no need for a male circumcision. There's no beneficiary. In fact, keeping the foreskin on is probably more beneficial than taking the foreskin off. And the amount of children that have died from herpes, because I don't know if you're aware that through the ceremony, when they remove the foreskin, the last bit of the flesh is taken away by the rabbi's mouth. He encompasses the child's penis in its mouth and pulls away the last of the flesh. And the amount of children that have died because the rabbi has had herpes on its mouth and the child has died from herpes. That aside, let's look at children, let's look at female children in another culture that are taken abroad and have this painful procedure. I mean, it's got to be horrific. It's got to be horrific. Long-term consequences include painful sex, recurrent urinary tract infections, painful periods, potential trauma during childbirth, infertility, chronic pelvic inflammatory disease, sexual dysfunction, psychological trauma. These are recorded outcomes of that procedure, and yet parents will bring their children to have this procedure done because it's seen to make them modest or make them pure, that they will not be stained or tainted by pleasure. They will keep their modesty. There have been a number of young tragic cases highlighted in the media in recent years where young girls have died following having the procedure. There's a picture here of a young girl, and I think her name is Sohar El Batia. Last year, an Egyptian appeal court convicted a doctor of manslaughter and performing manslaughter. If a child dies from that, or any barbaric ritual, manslaughter, at the very least, there should be a criminal prosecution for this. It led to the death of a 13-year-old girl, Sohar El Batia, in 2013, the New York Post reported. He was sentenced to 2 years and 3 months in prison in the country's first criminal case involving FGM. When the law was being debated in the Dáil in 2011, TDs vocalised how it should not just be a law on paper, stating that the legislative change should be accompanied by prevention, education and awareness raising measures among communities where female genital mutilation is likely to be practiced, and among certain service providers. This is 2016, a year later. The Times is reporting that 6,000 have had it done. Where are the prosecutions? Where are the criminal procedures brought against the parents? If we know that these 6,000 children have had it, where are the parents? Early this year, as according to 2016, 2 Irish charities were awarded $163,000 to provide girls and women affected or vulnerable to FGM with information on protecting themselves. If you're 6 years of age, how do you protect yourself from having a clitorectomy if your mum and dad says that you're going to have this procedure? And it's our cultural right. I get so fucking frustrated. This piece came out in the Irish Times 2 weeks ago, and I'm infuriated. I would ask anybody listening to this to just consider what it says here. What it says that what did it say? The legislative change should be accompanied by prevention, education and awareness raising measures among communities where female genital mutilation is likely to be practiced, and among relevant service providers such as medical personnel, Gardaí, social workers and teachers should be provided with this information on protecting themselves. The princely sum, where 2 charities were awarded $163,000 to provide girls and women affected and vulnerable to FGM to protect themselves. It's not good enough. More needs to be done. I'm posting this up. It's the start. I'm just flabbergasted that we allow this to happen. Please like this video. Please leave your comments in the section below. And I don't have a finishing diatribe. One of my favourite commentators on YouTube says, comment as you see fit. Leave your piece of shit below and let's speak up and let's do something about this, because we can't